Welcome back, Commanders, to another video on the Remastered Collection of Command & Conquer. Now, we know the Remastered Collection is launching this week, and with preloading being available right now, there is actually a way how you could preview all of the units and structures within the game. But there's a small catch. Red here, and in my previous video I spoke about preloading being available on Steam as well as Origin, and you can actually preview all of the units and buildings within the game only on EA Origin. So if you preloaded the game from EA Origin, and then you can actually enable the map editor, you can actually run the map editor, which is in front of me right now. I did pre-order the game on EA Origin, so I opened the map editor, and then you can choose between two games, Red Alert or Tiberian Dawn. Now I'm going to look at Red Alert in a separate video. So when you create a map, you can choose a blank canvas, and I chose the desert canvas. So as you can see, when I zoom out, it is just a blank, it is pretty much a blank canvas. And if you've used any of the previous map editors from the original games, of the original Command & Conquer games, then you should be fairly familiar with this map editor, as it seems that most of the things are pretty similar. As you can see, if you go to map, you have all these things such as rocks which you can place, you have these trees which you can also place, you have these bridges, so you can really create an incredible map. You can really see the remastered detail in the bridge and the water and the trees and the rocks and all the things, so you can really create an incredible map. I mean, you have quite a big size which you can use, so I'm not really going to focus on the map editor itself. I will create different videos, tutorials maybe on the map editor, and explaining how you can really create good, useful maps, maybe go into detail on that in a separate video. This is basically going to be essentially a first look, if you want to put it that way, at the units and structures of Tiberian Dawn, the remastered version of Tiberian Dawn. And as I said, in a separate video, I'm going to look at the remastered version of Red Alert, because there is simply just too much to look at in one video. Now, I've not really spent much time on this, and so this is also going to be kind of like my first look at it. But at the top there, when you go to infantry, you will see that you have a civilian named Joe. Now you can choose the house, which is essentially the team, which is good guy is GDI, bad guy is not, and then you have neutral, you have all these colors, but I mean this doesn't really apply to civilians in terms of coloring. Then you have your strength, then you have direction, mission, and trigger. Now this I'm going to focus on in a different video, because that's more about if you want to create a really good map. I'm just going to go to a blank area and place Joe down. So if you want to, you hold in shift and you can place down the civilian, you can see there is Joe right there. Now I can position him in different ways, so you can look that way, I can put it like that, I can look the other way, put it like that. Unfortunately, I cannot run this map because the game is not live yet, so unfortunately I will not be able to see the animations of the units, nor will I see the actions of the units, like the tanks shooting or the grenadier throwing a grenade, flamethrowers using their flamethrower, or units dying or buildings blowing up, or I won't hear the sound or anything like that, unfortunately, because as I said, the game is not live yet. So this is more just a first look, a preview of the units, because that's essentially what it is. I'm previewing all the units before the game launches. So I'm going to go through the infantry, then the units, and then the structures. In terms of resources, it is just, you know, that's what it is. It is the resource of the game. It is Tiberian. So I'm going to surround Joe with this, so there's no way these three Joes can actually escape without dying. So the easy way, if you look at this, you like all these squares, you want this to go away, because you want to have a proper look at the Tiberium or at the unit or building. Then you just go to waypoint. I'm just going to move this out of the way, and there you can see, there you can have a clear look of what the remastered version of Tiberium will look like. You can also zoom out, just use the mouse scroll, just use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Just an easy way, if you want to zoom into the bottom, just move the mouse there, it'll move in. If you want to move to the top, just move the mouse there and zoom in, and it'll zoom into where your mouse is located. But again, this is not going to be a tutorial about the map editor itself. Where is the three Joes? They're fine. Let's go back to the infantry. Okay, so if I move this here, you can see that there's Joe, there's all these units. I don't really want to look at all the civilians right now. Oh, actually, let me just place one of each. Put this guy there, put Bull there, let me put Shelly there. So again, you can look at all of them, you can change them, you can change how they behave. Put Dave there, full, and then you can also add scripts to them. But again, I'm trying to go into the map editor, which I shouldn't do right now because this is not a video about that. I want to go to the actual military units. The first one being the minigunner. Now, of course, as I said, the good guys are the GDI. If you go to the bad guys, they are not, of course. So I can put a nod guy there and I put a good guy there. And then if I zoom in as much as possible, seems as far as you can zoom in. And then if I go to waypoints, there's the two minigunners, one of each side. So let's go down to the grenadier. I will probably create a video at the end of this separately comparing this to the original game, which I will most likely release that video before this one. I know it's weird, so by the time you watch my comparison video, I would have done this already, so this is coming out after the video that I'm going to do after this. Kind of confusing, but it is what it is. Let me see here. So I'm going to get, I was at the grenadier, I want to see the grenadier, put him there. And then I want to put a rocket soldier next to him. Let's turn the rocket soldier to the side so you can really see that rocket. Let's go flamethrower there as well. Actually, flamethrower should be a bad guy. Let's put him there. And then let's go to the chem warrior, put him there. Maybe make him face differently so you can see his backpack. And then you have your engineer, with his toolbox. I always thought when I was younger that's a lunchbox, but I think it's a toolbox. I hope it's a toolbox. So if you want to face forward, as I said, if you choose other colors, you can choose him green, you can choose him like this color, and you can choose him like a light blue. Then is the GI engineer, and going on to Dr. Morbius, and then you have your commander as well. And then, of course, you can have the bad commander as well. So this is essentially all of the units, it seems. Do I have all of them now? Yeah, I have all of them. So if I go to waypoints again, you can see this is all of the units, the remastered units in Command & Conquer Remastered Collection. Well, for Tiberian Dawn, not Red Alert, because as I said, I'm going to look at that in a different video. So here's some of the civilians. There's the 3 Joes. Here's the Tiberian. And here is all of the units. The detail on this is quite impressive. I mean, it's more of a remake instead of a remaster. A lot of the units seems to be, well, most of the units are remodeled from the ground up. And you can really see the detail on a lot of them. I'm impressed by, when I get to some of the buildings, it's some of the things that, I never knew from the original Command & Conquer that this was actually how the building was structured. One in particular, which I will talk about when I get there, but especially the Commando and the Rocketeer, I really, really like the detail on these units. It's not massive, but I mean, compared to how it used to look to now, this is a really fantastic detail in the units. So going on to the units, I looked at the infantry now, so I'm going to go to the units, and this is where the big detail comes in, the detail that I've won. So you have your A10 and you have your good guy, bad guy. As I said, changes that middle color. You can also change it to different colors depending on what you want, but good guy. And then of course you can change the direction that the unit must look. I'm gonna put him here, and then I'm gonna have one placed here so I can really have a proper look at, you can see, you can just scroll with a mouse wheel and you can get a proper 360 view of the unit. Put one there. And as I said, if you're gonna go to waypoint quickly, then you can have a clear view of the unit. So going back to the units, next up is the APC. Place him here and turn him around so I can get a better view. I'm going to place all of the units first and then go to waypoints and then look at them, the same with structures and the same with walls, instead of going back and forth the whole time. So APC, let me just put one like this, and then next up will be artillery, is the bad guy. Put him here. Let's get a nice side view of the artillery. Quite a lot of detail on this unit. Put one there. Next one is the Nod Buggy, and yeah, that's a bad guy. Let's make him put there. Let's make him face up so I can face north so I can see him from the back and see him from the side. Next up is the recon bike. Let's put him there as well. Let him face down so you can get a proper view, and then maybe a side view I think would be a good idea. And then what's next? Next is the gunboat. I don't have water. Maybe I should just put water here, otherwise it's going to look very odd just putting the gunboat there. Where is the water? Let me see. I hope there's water here. Because I chose the desert map, so I don't really... It seems like there is water. Yeah, there is water. So I'm just going to quickly put a river of sorts together. Let's put this here, and then where is just the water? Yeah, just the water. So as I said, you can really do a lot with the map editor. You can really create a lot. You can change it up any way you want to. So with the units, let me go back down to the gunboat. It is a good guy, so yeah, that's fine. The C-17, which I believe is the transport aircraft that drops units for nod. So put him here, and with bigger vehicles you can really see how much effort EA and Petroglyph has put into the remastered collection. So let me put him here, and let's get a front view. What's next? Flame tank. Let me put the flame tank here. Now, I don't want to change the color, I want to change its position because I want to see more of the detail on the flame tank. I'm going to put that there. Next up is the harvester. Now of course the harvester is the same for each side. You can just change it in color a little bit, then you can see quite nicely the detail on the harvester. Next up would be the attack helicopter, which is, I believe it's a nod unit. It's the Orca, that's the GDI helicopter. Yeah, like I said, you won't be able to see the animation now, so you won't be able to see the spinning of the blades or anything like that, because I cannot play the map because the game is not live yet. But you can see, like, even if you want to look at it, what it'll look like green, you can see that. You can see all the different colors. Okay, so next up would be Mammoth Tank, one of my favorite units of all time. Although when you play as the Allies, it's not really nice, because then you have a bit of a problem. But yeah, I'll look at the Mammoth Tanks in a different video for Red Alert. Let me get a front view of the Mammoth Tank. And then next up, I'm curious what the different colors of the Mammoth Tank would look like. This is essentially what a Red Alert Mammoth Tank would look like. So yeah, you can see, get a pretty good indication of all the different colors if you just scroll through it. Next up is the Light Scout. Light Scout is a weird name for the Humvee. I know there's a mod out already where they changed the name back to Humvee because it's what it's originally called, from my understanding. But the Humvee really got a proper upgrade. In the previous games it was just like this block thing. So here you can really see the detail of the Humvee. Hovercraft, let me put that here, unloading some units, and of course the nod is, they're the same. You can put the Light Scout, you cannot do that unfortunately. I thought I could put a unit on there, but it doesn't seem like it. Anyway, let me go to the Light Tank. Let me get a nice angle of this so you can see the front and the back. Next up is the MCV. Now of course another big unit. Big units have more detail because that's just how it works. Bigger units, more detail compared to small units like this compared to this and this compared to this. You will just see the detail on this. By the way, the music that's playing in the background is actually the remastered music. Just FYI. Mobile HQ unit that I didn't use often in the original games. Color is the same for both teams, so I'm not gonna go through that now. You have your SSM launcher. That's a nod unit, I believe. Let me get the here you can really see the detail of the missiles. Let me get a side view and then get a back view of this unit. And then the rocket launcher, that would be GDI. You get a side view of this unit. Again, with the animation, of course, you cannot see the rocket shooting or it lifting up for the rockets, which is unfortunate, but you know, we'll see that soon enough when the game launches. Very, very soon. Here you have your medium tank, one of my favorite tanks in the games. Not the favorite tank, because that's Mammoth Tank, but it is one of my favorite tanks. Let's get a nice view there. Next up is the Orca. So again, no animation unfortunately, but still a lot of detail. I believe this was one of the more difficult units to remaster, to remake. In a Q&A, Jim Vasella said that they had a lot of trouble with the Orca. I can't remember why though, but yeah. And then of course the Velociraptor. How can you forget the dinosaurs? They also have the dinosaurs, which is fantastic. Let's get a back view of the dinosaur, and let's get the front view of the dinosaur. Next up would be Stegosaurus. Put in there, get a side view of it. And then I believe the next one, the Stealth Tank. Alphabetical order, of course. So, Nod unit. Let me get a front view, and then let's get a back view of this unit. And then you have your transport helicopter. Of course, same on both teams. And like I said, because the animation isn't there, you won't see the blades of the helicopter. So it looks a bit weird, but the blades are there. It's just not there now. Then you have a T-Rex. I cannot wait to play these missions. Put them there. Let's get a front view. And then you have your Triceratops. Let's put, where is, I put him there. Let's get a view like this, and let's get a side view. Then you have these, which, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I cannot remember what these are or where what their purpose is. But you can let me know in the comment sections below, because I completely hit a blank when it came to this. They can't really change. And I believe that's the final unit. Yes, that is the final unit. So now if I go to waypoints, let me just move this down here. You can see that now you can have a proper look of all of the units. You can zoom out and you can zoom in. I don't know if in the main game you can zoom out to this extent, but you can zoom out quite a bit, and this is the furthest you can zoom in. So I believe the original game was more or less like this, maybe like here, but yeah, you can zoom in quite nicely. So here you can have a proper look at all of the units. You can see all the smooth textures on the aircrafts, on the mammoth tanks, on the gunboats, stealth tanks, which is this side, the orcas, the dinosaurs, and really I'm really impressed by especially the dinosaurs as well. You can see the enhanced details on those, and you can see on the helicopter, stealth tanks, even the TIBERIAN. Just looking at the TIBERIAN, you can see that it just looks smoother, it looks crisp compared to what we used to, what we had before. Here's all the infantry, and then of course you have the airplanes here, you have the MCV here, light tanks, artilleries, buggies, harvesters, APCs right there, mammoth tanks, Humvee, and then your attack helicopter with your transport there. My favorite, the favorite looking units so far are these, the transport aircrafts that drops Nod units. The detail on them is just, I don't know, I like the detail on these. They're really impressive, and I'm curious what the mod community are going to do with them. Are they going to make them like a gunship kind of thing that we see in like Generals and those games? It'll be really interesting to see what the community is going to do, especially when it comes to, are you going to see, I can already see somebody's going to use the attack of a flame tank and add it to a T-Rex. So you're going to have a T-Rex that can shoot flames. I mean, that's definitely a thing that's going to happen in the mod community. Probably within the first week. We'll probably see that within the first week. Then you have all of these, but yeah, overall, I like the detail on this. They look the best for me. probably because they're the biggest, so you can see more detail on them. Then also the MCVs looks really good. The harvesters also looks fantastic. Mammoth tanks also looks really nice. Humvees, again, details amazing. But enough about the units. I'm gonna go to the structures, or actually let me go to the walls first. So with the walls, let me just move this up. You have the barbed wire, you have concrete wall, chain link, sandbags, wooden fence. So I'm gonna start with a wooden fence. Put this down. You can see it just, you know, there's nothing too amazing about this. You know, it's just smoother, I guess. Sandbags as well. You can see the improved textures on this. You can really, like I said, with the map editor, you can really create some incredible maps, and I'm really looking forward to what the community can come up with. The chain link, you can create, again, I'm just gonna try and make it from every angle so you can basically see it as much as possible. And you have the concrete wall. I'm gonna trap these people so they are actually forced to go over the Tiberian. So yeah, and then you have the barbed wire, which is, I think the barbed wire looks the best to me out of the walls. If I put this here, you can just see the way it bends, the way, just everything about the barbed wire. It just looks really good. And you'll see in a moment when I disable it. So you can see there, the barbed wire definitely looks by far the best for me between all of the walls. You can see there the detail in the barbed wire, the way it curves, the way all the edges sticks out. And then if you go to the concrete wall, also looks very smooth. Sandbags, very smooth. Chain link, smooth. And then the basic fence, wooden fence. Not really that impressive, but I mean, it's just a basic wooden fence. So now on to the big stuff, which is the buildings. Let me see here. This is a quite crazy map at the moment. Everything's just like put out here. Let me just get a nice open space. I mean, I have more than enough space. So if I go to the structures, the first thing is the airstrip. Of course, this goes alphabetical order, and you cannot turn the buildings, unfortunately. I was hoping that would be a new feature in the remastered collection, that you can turn buildings before putting them down. But I mean, I understand that would require more animation, more work, and a lot more effort. Maybe in future remasters, if we get future remasters, then we'll get stuff like that for future Command & Conquer games. That's going to be remastered. But I'm going to talk about those in a separate video, because I have got a lot to say about the potential of upcoming remastered titles. Now for the airship, of course it's bad guy, so you're going to have place there. Again, you have these that shows where the building is. So you know the barrier, so to speak. If you go to view, you can change the borders. That's the word I want to get to. It's essentially the border and the boundary of the building itself. So next up we have a civilian building. So it doesn't really matter if I change this a little bit, but normally it's going to be neutral. Good guy. Put it there. Let's go to advanced guard tower, which is a good guy building. Then you have your bio research lab. I really like that this changes. It looks really nice. Let me just go to good guy. Let's put it down there. And then you have your advanced communication center, which is obviously GDI. Then you have your construction yard, which is probably my favorite looking remastered building out of all of this. Mostly because it's the first building we saw. We saw quite a while ago, we saw the concept of what they wanted to do with this, with the remaster. And this is exactly the art that we got of the construction yard. And this is what it looks like. So, you know, repair facility, very basic. And of course, looks the same for GDI. And then you have your guard tower. Very small, not really that much improved, because I mean it's just very basic. So, and then the turret, which is Nod. Oh, I can't turn this one, so turn this. Could I turn the guard tower? No, I couldn't turn the guard tower, only the turret. And then you have the Hand of Nod. This is the building that I wanted to talk about earlier. So with the original game, I remember the Hand of Nod just being like this thing with holding the world. But looking here, you can really see the detail of the almost like a rock that it seems like it's coming out of. So it almost looks like it's built from a cliff, built inside out of a cliff kind of thing, which is details that you didn't normally pick up in the original game. So it is nice to see all these smaller details coming out. Let's put a hospital there, a helipad, same for both sides. And then command center, the same for both sides. Let me put it next to that one. And then you have your prison, which looks really nice. I really like the top of this prison. Then you have your advanced power plant, which is again the same for both sides because both sides can build this. Then you have your regular power plant. Let me just build that down here so you can have a good indication of the advance to the normal power plant. Then you have your obelisk of light. Probably one of my favorite structures within the game. By far my favorite defensive structure. Then you have the refinery. Again, the refinery and the construction yard. These two buildings are the best looking remastered buildings in the game. Purely because of the detail that's been put into this. When I take the barrier off, you'll see now the detail in this. And then I go to the barracks, which is GDI. Again, it would be nice to see the animation of the flag, but unfortunately, I cannot see that right now. Let's build the SAM site. Unfortunately, again, I cannot see the SAM site coming out. Cannot see the animation. You have your silo. Even the silo, it looks pretty impressive compared to some of the other buildings. Temple of Nod, also a favorite amongst buildings. Just the way it looks fantastic. Then you have civilian building, of course. Then you have civilian house. A lot of these civilian houses, I'm like, I never knew that's what it was called. I just knew it as civilian building number 1, civilian building number 2. So they have these strange names, like pub. Like, I never knew this was a pub until now, because it says, Pablo's Wicked Pub. Back in the day, I was just like, it's a civilian building that I need to destroy. So it's interesting all the detail that was put into these civilian buildings. Of course, church, I knew it was a church, but because I could see that. But like a pub, like who knew that was a pub? And Ali's house, like who would have thought Ali's house is one of the civilian buildings? Like, come on. Another civilian building. Another civilian building. I'm just putting these down at random so that you can get a fairly good indication of what the civilian buildings looks like. Witch Doctor's hut. Again, I didn't know it was a witch doctor. I never knew that. Put that there. Put that there. I'm very curious when I look at Red Alert what some of the buildings will be called there. Let's put the civilian there. Let's put this one. Is the same one? No, the road is slightly different. Let's put this one there. Studio. Put this there. And then weapons factory, of course. Good guy. Yeah, that seems to be it. So if I could take off and go to waypoints just to get that out of the way. So now, if I go to the buildings, you'll see a pretty good. Let me start with the civilian buildings. Get that out of the way. Yeah, even the civilian buildings, like I said, you can really see the detail. The church looks really, really nice. You can really see the lines there in the front of the wall texture, basically. Which you couldn't really see previously in the games. You can see the detail in all of the other civilian buildings as well. And like I said, my favorite buildings by far is the refinery and then the construction yard, because just looking at this, I mean, just the detail that's been put in here and it's really, really incredible. I mean, even the detail there where the harvester connects, like they really put in a lot of effort fine-tuning the smaller details of the buildings. That's why I'm actually very excited about what they can do for TIBERIAN Sun as well as Red Alert 2 and more specifically Generals, because God knows Generals needs a remake. Not only a remaster, a lot of the stuff needs to be remade. But here you have your Temple of Nod. You can really see it's smooth, it's crisp. The silos as well, SAM site, barracks, the normal power plant, Obelisk Flight, the advanced power plant, the hospital, communication center. The prison looks fantastic. It looks smooth, it looks clean. Well, it doesn't look clean in that sense because the outside walls are really dirty, but on top it looks smooth. And then you have your helipads, Hand of Nod, your turrets, your airfield, airstrip, and then you have your advanced communication center, and then your weapons factory. So that's all of the buildings. That's everything essentially from the remastered collection. That is the buildings, the resources, the walls, the infantry, and the units. This gives you a pretty good indication of what the remaster is going to look like. Again, the only way how you can access these is if you pre-order the game like I did on EA Origin, and then you can run the map editor. And then within the map editor, you can already start creating maps. You can already play around. So by the time the game comes out, you can have maps ready to go and you can upload them to be used in the Steam's Workshop. I will also talk about the Steam's Workshop and mods in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. But as I said, this is essentially the first look at the units and buildings of Command & Conquer Tiberian Wars, or not Tiberian Wars, Tiberian Dawn. I'm very impressed by this. I'm very excited to see all of the animations function, to see the glow there, the lights flicker there as the harvester comes back, the obelisk shoot. I want to see that move. I want to see this move. I want to see this unit come here dropping units. I want to see the buildings blow up. I want to see the buildings being damaged. I want to see the units do their thing, do animations. I want to see some of the units die, and just some of the animations. I'm very, I mean, looking at this, especially the dinosaurs, makes me more excited about the remaster than what I already was. And just thinking about the fact that this game is fully moddable, especially in the Steam Workshop, which makes it so much easier for people to use and install mods and also make their own mods. I'm very excited about the longevity of this game, because I know that Steam Workshop usually extends the life of games significantly. I mean, you have just a small example, Skyrim came out in 2011 and still active today. I mean, maybe Skyrim is an exception, but I mean, one of my favorite turn-based strategy games, XCOM, you still see people uploading mods to XCOM 2 on a weekly basis, and XCOM 2 came out, I believe, in 2016. So I'm very excited to see what the modding community is going to come up with. I'm very excited to play with those mods and also the scenarios that people are going to come up with, the missions and the campaigns. I mean, you have mods for like Dune for Command & Conquer 3, and you have the original Red Alert that was remade for Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. So I know people will most likely try and remake Red Alert 2 and 3 within these games. I won't be surprised if somebody tries to do their own remaster of Tiberian Sun with this game. But nevertheless, this was essentially a first look at the units and buildings of Command & Conquer Tiberian Dawn Remastered. In another video, I'm going to look at the remaster of Red Alert, and I probably already have the video out where I compared this to the original game, as I'm going to compare these units and buildings to the original game, so stay tuned for that. Or if you have not seen that video, then just look for that at the end of this video, because it's going to be out before this one. But nevertheless, as I said, the way you can do this, just pre-order the game on EA Origin. If you've pre-ordered it on Steam already, then you unfortunately have to wait until the game launches. But if you pre-order it on EA Origin, then you can access the map editor and you can play around with it already. But I will upload a lot of Command & Conquer content in the coming weeks, so be sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. Wait, before I go, let me know in the comments below what unit is your favorite from the remaster, what just looks the best here, and what building looks the best out of these. I'm curious to know what you guys think of all of this. But for more Command & Conquer news, check out the rest of my channel, and if you like this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down, but please tell me why so I can improve on my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the RedTieGuy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.